Here with Kenny Spade from Microsoft at our annual winter ICT conference out in San Francisco. How you doing, Kenny?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Good, thanks. I sat in on part of your presentation on
Oh,
Azure. That was
great.
pretty interesting product. And I enjoyed your presentation this morning.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you a few questions about your background. Now, I know you went to a community college, and I found that pretty interesting. And you also mentioned that you lived in a house with no electricity
That's
for
right.
4 years.
Yeah. Basically, I'll go ahead and start with the house part.
That'd be good.
That's interesting. When I was growing up, you can actually see on the cornerstone of the house that I lived in until I was around 9, 10 years old. It has the names of my mom, my dad, my older brothers and sisters, plus one, and so that was me. So when I was moving in, they were still building the house. And so the only electricity that we had was a car battery that was running a single light bulb. And other than that, we were, building this house. And so up until I was about 4 years old, we didn't have electricity.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you ended up going to community college.
That's right.
Yeah.
So after I finished with high school there, actually, I ended up taking the California High School Proficiency Exam in my junior year because I was taking a language class at a local community college. And I was really surprised because in high school, it's like you're there, you have to be there. So I went to this language class over at the community college, and I was like, this is amazing. People want to be here. It's really different how the instructors treat you because they know that you want to be there. And what ended up happening was I finished all of the things that I needed. I realized that I wanted to go into computers, and I was ready to transfer over to CSU Chico. And at the same time, this was right after the .com burst, I was offered a job with a local company because the classes that I had taken at the community college on Visual Basic were the exact technology they were looking for.
That's neat. Now, what community college was that?
That was up at Shasta College in Reading.
I'm not sure where I'm not being from this area. I'm not sure where that is, but it's a small.
It's about 4 hours north of here.
Check them out. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So, and what was your degree? So you got a degree.
So there, I just got a degree in. I actually was able to transfer from Shasta just shy of a degree. When I ended up getting my job, I was continuing to take classes, and I did get a degree in university studies, which is you are ready to transfer to a UC or a CSU type of degree.
And then you went to Chico, and what did you major in at Chico?
Computer science with a math and science option.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So a couple of years at Chico, and
so I ended up doing 3 years.
You said you worked after the community college.
Yeah. So after community college, I ended up working about 4.5 years in the industry. The reason that I did that was I was looking out and looking in the paper, and it was saying required 4 years of experience and a 4-year degree. And so I was thinking, okay, well, how am I going to get 4 years of experience without 4 years of experience? So I ended up taking the job and learning a lot about computers. Just because it was a small enough company, there were only 2 developers there, that I ended up doing everything. I was maintaining servers, I was writing code, I was fixing other people's computers, and so I was wearing many hats. So I learned a lot from that. But I reached a point where I was like, well, in order to get any further, I'm going to have to get some additional education. So I ended up returning to university, and that's where I went to CSU Chico. So I ended up going in there with a transfer from Shasta. That was because I was continuing to do my education. I got my associate's degree and transferred over to CSU Chico.
And you studied computer science there. And then after you got out of there, did you start working at Microsoft right away?
Yeah, so actually about 3 months before I graduated, the entire time, because I had been in the industry, I was working with Microsoft. I was working with their tools. And so I was continuing to keep up my industry relations. And so I knew the people who were working in the evangelism team, and so at one point when I was a student at CSU Chico, I thought, you know what, this is actually a job. People can do evangelism, and that's their job. So I went up during one of the breaks of one of the sessions at an event, and I told the guy, "You've got the coolest job ever. How do I get your job?" And so he talked to me about what I was doing, and he said, "Keep doing that. That's what you should be doing, and then as soon as you graduate, let me know, and I'll see what I can find out."
No kidding, yeah.
And so 3 months before I graduated, he emailed me, and he said, "Hey, there's a position open in your area. When do you graduate?"
No kidding.
So I interviewed for it and got my degree on May 31st, started on June 2nd.
Wow.
Yeah, so right away.
That's neat. And you work out of which Microsoft office do you work out of?
I work out of the Mountain View office, the Silicon Valley office there.
Which is south of here.
Yep, just south.
Yeah, yeah. And you come up here to San Francisco quite a bit?
Yeah, so I'm still really involved with the industry groups.
Yeah.
So we've got local evangelists who have events for like the .NET user groups out of San Francisco, Pleasanton, out of the South Bay at the Mountain View office. So I'm always going back and forth between those. So I'm up in San Francisco a couple of times a month.
And how about those shoes you're wearing there? Those are pretty nice. Are those official Microsoft
They are
shoelaces?
Microsoft blue, yes.
That's nice. That's a nice, I like them.
Thanks.
Now, I got to ask you about Azure. You just did a presentation
Sure.
on Azure, which looks like a pretty interesting product. I know it competes with products from both Amazon and Google.
That's right.
How long has that product been around, Azure?
So we will actually be launching the commercial version of it in February. We've had a beta around for a while. It was first announced in PDC 2008, which was towards the end of 2008. So it's been around for a little over a year. Actually commercially available, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Yeah. So very soon here.
Very soon. It looks like a pretty interesting product. It looks like it's a good competing product. I didn't see your entire presentation, but what are some of the I guess the highlights or features? Maybe if you had to pick a couple things about it that you were to.
Yeah, so some of the things that kind of, in and above the fact that it is a cloud computing platform, some of the things that kind of set it aside are the fact that you're running on, anything that you can run on Windows Server 2008 on the internet stack, you can run on Azure. So you can run Java, you can run some of the PHP things. In fact, there's examples of WordPress being run on Azure, which is a PHP application. You're able to run any of your .NET services on there. And you have the ability to access your data in a relational format. So you can actually work with the SQL that you've known and loved for your entire developer life.
That's interesting. Now, what do you see happening with this product in classrooms? Coming from a community college background, do you see an application or a place for this kind of a product like Azure in the curriculum? Yeah. Yeah.
So some of the things that we've actually already seen in the pre-release version are just basically where you have an existing web applications class. So you're writing a website and you just want to be able to see, how do I deploy into the cloud? What's the easiest way to go from what I've got to there? So we've had some different schools actually take their traditional class and just add an additional assignment, deploy to the cloud. We're also working with San Jose State on developing an entire set of curriculum around cloud computing and virtualization. So we've got quite a few different ways that schools are making use of it. Another way that I see that it's got a lot of potential is there's an application called Dryad. And Dryad is a MapReduce type application. So you can take a single function and spread it across multiple machines. And if you've got something that needs to be computed very quickly, what you can do is distribute it across the entire cloud and then collapse that back down to get your result. So right now, Dryad's not available for Azure, but they are talking about bringing it there. So that could be another example where you have a scientific computing class that's making use of the cloud.
So that's similar to like the SETI project, something along those lines, where you're sharing
Yeah, so basically being able to share it. SETI does a lot on their users' computer, so this is kind of setting it up on servers. But it's taking up, and you're able to do, instead of having to set up your own high-performance compute cluster, you can do it on additional machines, so you don't have to put out that initial investment, especially when you have just one quick project that needs to be run overnight.
Okay, yeah, and you mentioned an interesting project that a guy did with the New York Times, right?
So the New York Times, he had a bunch of articles that he needed to condense down. He needed about 100 servers to make it be done in a reasonable amount of time, and so he just rented those servers from Amazon and was able to make use of that really quickly.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly a lot of cool stuff going on, and it sounds like you got a pretty nice career going. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for coming here. And you guys also hosted us this morning for our opening, and we're going back there tomorrow morning. So
yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.
You guys are great.
Thanks
a lot. Take care.